What's up, everybody? It is Monday. The weekend is over, but fear not. I am here to rescue you from your doldrum of a Monday. After the bell is here, I am Jeff Meacham. We've got the questions you sent in through our YouTube page, through my Facebook fan page, and of course, twitter.com/JeffMeacham_D18, the new name. For those of you that don't know, Jeff Meacham ATB is now Jeff Meacham D18. Note it in your bookmarks or however you want to do that, and if you see it on the old shows, don't worry about it. We're not going to have JJ go through hundreds of shows and edit every single thing. That's just silly. Just make the note now. Jeff Meacham D18 is the new Twitter name if you want to tweet me. Here we go. From YouTube, Mr. Bonesaw 1000. When do you think Batista will return? And just curious, do you have tickets for SummerSlam? And if so, where are you sitting? I, as of now, do not have tickets for SummerSlam. I know Mr. Williams does. Do you know where you're sitting? Do you remember where you're sitting off the top of your head?
Section 114.
Section 114. So look for JJ in 114. If you do see me there, probably be with Jade and Dylan up in the boonies as we were last year. Up in the 300s, because that's what we can afford. JJ just, JJ just happens to get lucky. It's around his birthday. So he happens to get lucky with SummerSlam seats. As far as Batista returning, I don't see a reason for him to return. It is the 1000th Raw coming up in a couple weeks. That would be the only reason, really. But for a full-time return, I don't see a reason for it to happen. Batista had his run. He had a good few world title reigns and some decent feuds and everything. But I don't see the need for a full-time thing. Cam rocks ya socks. What did you think of Hardcore Justice 2000? Was it a good send-off for ECW after the way it was into the WWE, or was it a load of BS? I did not see Hardcore Justice that year, the year that they did the ECW reunion, revival, one night only, whatever you want to call it, show. I think the problem with ECW is that the fans of ECW refuse to let ECW just die and just let it be. I think WWE's revival of it was good in theory, but not in execution. After the first few months of Paulie being in charge, or helping to be in charge, and then being taken off the booking and being sent home, that was the beginning. That was the end of it right there. Once Paulie left the WWE, booking part of ECW, it was doomed for failure. And this whole, Hardcore Justice 2000, this whole thing that Shane Douglas is doing now, it's just all unnecessary. And I think that ECW needs to be left in the past. It was great. It was better than great at times, but I think that it needs to just stay that. It was great. To tell Godzilla Star, when do you see someone failing to when they cash in Money in the Bank? I ask because I think it... Alright, I'm going to read this verbatim. I was trying to clean it up. I'm reading it verbatim. When do you think someone will fail to cash in Money in the Bank? I ask because I think it dull when Money in the Bank, it means you get a title in the future. P.S. When do you think someone will really cash in at WrestleMania? I don't know why, but I have a feeling this whole former WWE champions competing in the Raw Money in the Bank match will lead to a failure at a cash-in, be it Cena, The Big Show, Kane, or Chris Jericho. And if they name more tonight, so be it. I think this is going to be the time that that is the failure. The SmackDown guys are all, the up-and-comers, the way Money in the Bank is supposed to be, and I think that that's going to prove fruitful once again in the world of Money in the Bank cash-ins. I think those are going to be the successful ones. The Raw guys, don't think it's going to happen. And at WrestleMania, if it's a surprise cash in WrestleMania, it'll be better. But these guys keep announcing it, like Kennedy, like Bryan. They keep saying they're going to cash it in at WrestleMania, and then it ends up not happening for one reason or the other. So I don't know if it will. I don't know if it ever will happen. Another one from To Tell Godzilla Star. The Rock said after WrestleMania he thought he should go out the WWE Championship. So when do you think this might happen? I think he could come back at SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, or WrestleMania. Last, if he came back, who should he face for the championship? Well, there's talk about Brock getting the championship back, maybe that big rematch at WrestleMania. There's talk of CM Punk having a lengthier title reign. That'd be a good match, Rock versus CM Punk. Cena, of course, is the rematch that people may or may not want to see, but if Cena's champion, it could happen. Number of possibilities for The Rock to embark upon should he face the WWE champion at a pay-per-view in the next year. T-Max Steeler Fan 21. Do you think CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin would be better than The Rock versus John Cena was? Promos and match. No. Promos maybe, but The Rock and Cena were both on their A game for most of those promos going back and forth leading into WrestleMania this year. But we all know CM Punk can cut a great promo, and Austin has it in him to bring promos out of himself again. The match itself, Austin is not in ring shape, and there's a difference between ring shape and regular being in shape to do stunt work in movies and things of that nature. Austin is in shape for that, from what I have been told, but not for ring work in a match. Austin has said more than once his last match was WrestleMania 19 against The Rock. And I think we need to let that be. JD Pro 17, do you think wrestlers that keep on breaking the drug policy should be banned from pro wrestling altogether because they get fired and just do it to the rival company, and for them doing wrong could hurt the company they wronged? It's a touchy subject when it comes to the use of drugs in professional wrestling, in any sport really. But these guys, that continually take steroids, take the really bad illegal substances, not necessarily marijuana, because marijuana, like Rob said on my show, 4 years ago, when have you ever seen marijuana be the catalyst for a violent crime? Seriously. But these other ones, banned from wrestling for life? No. Serious suspension laid down, more than 30 days and a slap on the hand? Definitely. Because the guys like Randy Orton are showing they don't give a crap about the suspensions. Definitely should have more stuff done to them, I think. Bad Axe Entertainment, love the show, Jeff. Who is a better announcer in WWE? Taz, JBL, or Mick Foley? Bradshaw. Bradshaw was the perfect complement to Michael Cole and his spazosity. If that's even a word, which it's not. Taz was great, but I think Taz had to carry Cole more than JBL did. I think Michael Cole and JBL fed better off each other. Mick Foley, he mentioned this in Countdown to Lockdown, never really seemed to get the flow of being an announcer in WWE and really didn't enjoy himself during that, so he can't be named up there as one of the great announcers in history. I got a couple from Acadia MLS. I was wondering, do you think that having only former WWE champions in the Raw Money in the Bank match kills what seemed to be the main purpose of the concept, pushing new talents? Do you think SmackDown's Money in the Bank match should be featuring nothing but people who never had a world title in WWE to create a contrast? I believe that's what they're going for on SmackDown. If you watch SmackDown on Friday, so far we have Damian Sandow, Tyson Kidd, Lord Tenzai. Christian was a world champion, but he's known more for his tag team and undercard runs than he has been for his World Championship runs last year. Unless you count his TNA run, then whatever. But there will be other guys in the SmackDown match that I think have been former world champions, and if not, so much the better. I'd rather see guys that never held the big one being a Money in the Bank match. Again, that's the whole point of Money in the Bank. I think the first year you had Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit, and that's great, but it should be about the up-and-comers getting that opportunity. The Raw concept, JJ seems to think it's going to be a good thing, having the, quote, all-star Money in the Bank match. And I am still very much on the fence about it. I'm in a wait-and-see pattern, a holding pattern, if you will, because, the Big Show's not going to be the best ladder climb. Kane's done it before. You have Chris Jericho, who came up with the concept in the first place. And you've got John Cena, who's had a couple of ladder matches to his credit. And I think that it could be a recipe for success or a recipe for a huge cluster F of a disaster.
allow me to just clarify. I don't think that it's a great idea if this is going to be the permanent concept on the Raw side, but I do think it's a good idea for a one-shot.
Okay.
Or like in every so many years type of thing.
Okay. Well, that's good. Makes you a little bit better. The other one from Acadia, I've been following the AJ storyline, even though I kind of enjoyed it. I was wondering, is she a heel or a babyface? I cannot seem to figure out if the writers want us to like her or hate her. The writers, the board, and the office want us to watch her. Whether we love her, whether we hate her, we are all watching her, and we are all wondering what she is going to do next. And that is the key. I personally like AJ, always have. She's cute, she seems very intelligent, she's great at what she does, she's funnier than heck when she wants to be, serious as heck when she wants to be, and she's got a great talent in the ring and on the microphone. I think she's going to go very, very far, and she should be the Divas champion. If they're going to have her be in a main event storyline, she should be the champion. Jacob Beasley, my question is, with WWE bringing back former GMs for the week, do you think they should bring in Paul Heyman to further the Brock Triple H storyline? We talked about this in the car on the way home from wherever we were the other day. Yes, absolutely. He should definitely be brought in as a former GM to kind of poke the stick at the grizzly bear that is Triple H and run the show for a week. He's one of a few that are left. You've got him, you've got Regal, you've got Coach, you've got the McMahon children. Bischoff's not available. He's producing TNA. Teddy Long's going to be there tonight and on Thursday. God, I'm sorry. I'd like to see Paul Heyman come back in the next 3 weeks. It'd be cool to see him as a power figure, not just a lawyer or representative for Brock Lesnar. All right, on to the Facebook fan page. Again, thank you guys for sending all these questions in. Luke Carmichael, are you looking forward to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view? I myself preferred the matches at WrestleMania. It was always a match to look forward to, but now it feels like it's lost its magic. We've had that debate in this house, I think, on these shows. Money in the Bank was an awesome thing to look forward to at WrestleMania, and also having it at the, quote, end of the WWE calendar year and the beginning of the new year was definitely the way to go, in my opinion, because they would, have the storyline year end and then a new one begin, and over the course of that year, you'd wonder when so-and-so was going to cash in the briefcase. And again, I still say should only be one briefcase for both shows. That way you never know what's going to happen. Having its own pay-per-view and having 2 matches, having 2 briefcases, not a good idea in my opinion. Having 1 briefcase match, that'd be something. Have like a good undercard, like you have Punk versus Bryan coming up. You've got, whoever Sheamus is going to defend against. You've got, things of that nature happening where it could be a solid show. We're probably going to end up ordering it because we do order Money in the Bank around here more often than not because we don't order SummerSlam. We're there. So I look forward to Money in the Bank every year. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views, regardless of how I feel about the match itself having its own showcase. But it should be a good show. Sean McDonald, do you think NXT has moved to Orlando full-time to try and go head-to-head with TNA? No, I think it's more of Orlando has better TV studio facilities than does Tampa. More shows are taped out of Orlando. They have, like the Universal Studio, the Disney Studios. They have other movie studios. That's the hotbed for TV tapings is Orlando. Much like Hollywood here, much like Burbank here, much like Miami back there. You've got New York. You've got various places along both coasts that have TV facilities. Orlando's definitely one of those places. So, again, I don't think they care what TNA does because TNA is not viewed as a threat by WWE as of yet. Ian Dunn, can you see McFoley in the GM job, Jeff? I think he'd be the best GM, or maybe Teddy Long. Teddy's been there full time. I think if they're going to have a GM switch, on July 23rd at the 1000th Raw, they need to have a fresh face. Either be Mick Foley coming back after a long hiatus, or somebody like William Regal, or somebody that has not done it yet. You know, there's a few people they could bring in that are, you know, on the roster, or even somebody that's being brought back that's never done it before. That can be interesting. You know, I mean, you've got a guy like Ric Flair, who has been, you know, the subject of much talk since the Hall of Fame ceremony back in March. You know, is he coming back to WWE? Will he be returning? He was the owner of Raw for a couple of months. He ran the show. Will we see him running Raw and SmackDown again? It'll be cool to see. I look forward to seeing what happens on the 23rd when they name this new GM. It's only 4 weeks, guys. It's only 4 weeks. Corey Osborne, do you think the Triple H Brock match will have 2 guest referees like HBK for Triple H and Paul Heyman for Brock Lesnar, and winner takes over WWE or something in that fashion? No. I think that there's going to be one referee for the match. I think there's going to be one solitary situation, and I honestly think that Brock is going to come out on top. I think Triple H is going to get his licks in, but I think that Brock is going to be the one to dominate this match. Bradley W. Morris, do you think it was a good move for Vince to buy WCW, or do you think it would be better if someone else had bought the company and kept the same name, same product, and continued to be a competitor against WWE? I think it would depend on who had bought the company and how they had used the product. This is another subject I've talked about in the past. I think the WWF buying WCW was a huge mistake because they ended up having no real competition for themselves, and they buried themselves into a creative hole over the course of a year and had to essentially split the company in two to create its own competition, to create interest in the product again. Then they tried to revive ECW. That didn't work. Then they tried to, you know, have NXT be on there. That didn't work. And, you know, NXT and Superstars are now both web exclusive. And, you know, you've got this new show coming out on the Ion Network, the Main Event, which is going to be another, you know, it's like, how many shows do we need? You know? And the reason they're doing that is because they don't have any real thread. TNA is, you know, doing decent numbers for where they are on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock, but they're competing against, you know, NBC's lineup. They're competing against all these other shows, and they're the #1 show on cable on Thursday nights, but, you know, that's not saying much right now. WWE doesn't care about them. You know, it would take a serious issue for WWE to really take notice, and WCW being gone is definitely not helping WWE at all. Clint DeFigueiredo, Jeff, you answered my brother's question last week, so I hope you answer mine this week. Why doesn't WWE cut superstars like Kurt Hawkins, Tyler Rex, Jinder Mahal, Drew McIntyre, and a few others that they aren't using, and start bringing up guys like Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose? Well, Seth, I believe, is going to be on the NXT coming up very soon, if he hasn't already. Again, I'm behind NXT watching. I got to get on that. Dean Ambrose has been the talk of the internet. Everybody is talking about this man, and I cannot wait to see what he has to offer. As far as guys like Hawkins and Rex and Mahal and McIntyre, Drew, we've talked about on this show very recently, has the potential to be a world champion. He just needs to book him right. You know, for whatever reason, they seem fit to punish him for his wife's mistakes, or ex-wife's mistakes. Get over that crap. Seriously, it's done. Jinder Mahal, I say cut him. They're not doing anything with him. He's a decent athlete, but the whole, you know, Arab American or Arab is better than you. You know, Muhammad Hassan called. You know, Tyler Jeet Singh wants his gimmick back. Tyler Ali Singh. Tyler Jeet Singh was even earlier than that. And Hawkins and Rex are being used sporadically on NXT and Superstars, and occasionally on Raw and SmackDown. So they're going to keep using them. Justin Lancaster. Since WWE is bringing back old superstars from the Attitude Era, who do you and JJ like and Staffboy like to see return for a 1-year run? Well, Brock's back. The Rock comes back every now and then. A 1-year run. It's too long for these old Attitude Era guys, I think a few months, maybe. But if they are going to bring somebody back from the Attitude Era that has real attitude, real chutzpah, and will show that attitude, pick up the phone, call Tampa, call wherever they are, and get Bubba and Diva on the phone. I'd like to see the Dudley Boys come back. The Dudley Boys, not Team 3D, not the Deadly Boys, not Bubba Ray Dudley that only started in WWE. I'm talking about get the ECW Dudley Boys back and have those guys come in and ride a rough shot. I'd like to see the Dudleys. And again, y'all are going to have my case because I'm always on the Dudleys nuts. I've been a huge fan of that tag team. But you know what? You said anybody. I say the Dudleys.
It's interesting you picked a tag team because that's who I have too. And the tag team that I have, I think could actually last a year, be compelling, and help elevate the division. And that's the Outlaws.
Maybe so, but whenever we saw Road Dogg briefly in the Rumble, he looked okay. Every time I've seen Kip Sopmont, whatever his name is this week, Billy Gunn, he doesn't seem like he's ready to go. But again, appearances can be deceiving.
Let's say,
so,
it's a difference between mailing it in at an indie show and being put in front of 20,000 people on a nightly basis again.
True. And then it'd be a battle between him and Dolph for the gimmick back.
I think the Outlaws could seriously rejuvenate that tag division.
Something has to. Are Truth and Kofi still the champs right now? I'm curious.
As far as I know.
Okay, because Truth's hurt, right?
Yeah, so they haven't done anything with the belts.
Of course not. Because they
have like number one contenders, but that's it.
Yeah, and number one contenders are the primetime players.
Yeah.
Whatever they're called. All right, another one from Justin Lancaster. Mr. Kennedy didn't have the intention of injuring Orton in the 4-man basketball jersey match. Do you think he'd still be WWE and be world champion by now, or Intercontinental champion by now, or would he still be in mid-card hell? I honestly think that was blown way out of proportion. I don't think Ken Anderson meant to hurt Randy. It just happened. And Triple H flipped his wig, and Randy flipped his wig, and got him removed from television, and got him fired, or whatever happened. If he was still there, he'd probably be in mid-card hell, honest to God, because there's a really small little window of a pecking order there at the top of the food chain in Vince Land, and Ken never quite got to that level. He was with Undertaker for a while, but he wasn't at Cena, Orton, Hunter, that area for a minute. Edge, all those guys. Ken never got there, and it sucks, but that's just how it happened. Michael Thurston. What do you think about the different feuds TNA could have capitalized on that they missed? Some that come to my mind are when Jeff Hardy turned heel won the championship after his best friend Rob was injured. They never did the feud properly, and I see them doing TV show main events. Also, your thoughts on the growing roster of TNA. The Bound for Glory series seems to actually have more talent, with more this year with all noticeable talent. Well, first of all, I do agree with you on the fact they really never gave us the definitive Jeff Hardy Rob Van Dam match in TNA. WWE did for us already. We got 2 in a row pay-per-view main event style matches from those guys. We had one in Invasion in 2001 for the Hardcore Championship. Then we had a blockbuster match at SummerSlam that year in the Hardcore Ladder match where those guys just tore it up. And again, that was 11 years ago this year. Next month for those 2. With Invasion this month. As good as Rob is, as good as Jeff has got himself back into shape and everything, they're not going to do that stuff like they did 11 years ago. Rob Van Dam, for all his greatness that I've heaped upon him in the last, 15 years, not the same man he was in ECW or in early WWE. It's just the way it is. Alright, the last question comes from the Twitter world today. It is from, I just lost it because it scrolled for some reason. BJ Greer. Hey Jeff and JJ, I have a question. More relevant, The Rock in the PG era or Cena in the Attitude Era? Think about that. If those guys were reversed and John Cena had been allowed to be the Doctor of Thugonomics in the Attitude Era, how far he would have gone. And think about if The Rock had to tone himself down for the PG era. Remember, when Rock came back last year, he was allowed to use all the words that you weren't supposed to use in PG land anymore. They let him turn loose, which turned Cena back loose. And all these guys since. But if they had taken John Cena and put him in 1998-99, would he have made as big an impact as he has? with all those guys at the top anyway. You had Cena, Rock, Hunter, Austin. You know,
I don't think he would have.
I don't think so either. As much as I heap praise on Mr. Cena, but it was so in both companies. Let's make that clear. In WWE, there were so many main eventers. There just wasn't enough room for everybody. That's why a lot of people got fired, jumped ship. You know, asked for their release, went to ECW to clean themselves up, went to the Indies and applied their craft. You know, it was just knuck and fuss there for a while. So I really don't think it would have worked out for John. The Rock being relevant in the PG era, if he'd had to tone down the PG and the PG language, probably still would have been as impactful, because The Rock can still cut himself a mean rug promo-wise without saying the AWS word. Or, you know, candy this and, you know, all that stuff. He can still do it. So The Rock has been more relevant in this time than John would have been 15 years ago.
Agreed.
Alright. I have a little bit more time, so I'm going to go ahead and do the plugs that I like to do. Tomorrow on Renegade, JJ will have a review of arguably my favorite Battleground Pro Wrestling show to date, Legion Hall of Doom. We were there. You guys have seen the videos. If you haven't, check out the channel. It's right over here. Or, you know, somewhere on this side. Me introducing Rico Dynamite, the champion, and getting punked out, called a fire crotch ginger, and the whole shenanigans. Great matches last night. Stuff on Twitter, Facebook, and we invite you all to come out to Red, White, and Bruised on July 28th. It's going to be nuts. We're going to have a lot of fun. And JJ will have a very special guest tomorrow, I'll put it that way. Wednesday on Ringside Insanity, we're going to be reviewing... Oh, I forgot. What are we reviewing? Oh, that's right. It's the 4th of July. Duh, George. It's America's birthday. No Holds Barred, starring this gentleman. Although this is about 13 years after that happened. But No Holds Barred, featuring the wonderful 80s edits, including the limo exploding and Hulk coming out of it about 20 seconds later. Good stuff. We watched this, and you all saw my Twitter comments, put it that way. It gets even worse with Jay and I on RSI. Thursday on Dads, we'll have something to talk about. We just, we're off the cuff here. We don't know. Friday on Stat Boy will have his shenanigans and rants and raves. And, by the way, this is July. It is a very special birthday month for this channel, because July 30th is the Cripple's birthday. Which means July 28th is going to be her birthday show. So if y'all come out to Battleground, you can torture her for being past 30. Past 30. That's right. 30's over. Now she's 31. Yeah. So, for Cast 18 Studios YouTube channel, I am Jeff Meacham. We'll see you next week on After the Bell.